Hello,
Yeah, good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Sorry, I was trying to get some file to your other counterparts, so I just finished with them. I'm sorry for the time. Now, I want us to somehow finish with what we did face to face, and then we add something small, some small theory to it. Then we are sure we are on course. So, the last time we look at the journals to the ledgers and to trial balance. Then today we would want to look at the financial statement. The financial statement. And I would want to introduce you to the financial statement today, give you some things to read on, and then we'll look at some few management principles, and then we'll bring it to an end today. But from what we did the last time, if anybody has some question to ask, the person can ask. From what we did the last time, if you have a question to ask, you can feel free and ask. Is there something?
Sir,
Yes.
please, from the last topic you treated in the face-to-face, yes, if you can please go over it, that will be fine.
The whole topic will be too broad to go over.
No,
But if
not
you
the
have
whole topic. The
the section you think you don't understand, is it the
the
journals
book, the journals, yes.
or the cash book or
The,
which of the journals or the ledger? Which one?
the okay, so the ledger
Mm.
and then moving the account from the trial balance,
Mhm.
yeah, to the ledger, the two.
No, we rather move from the ledger to the trial balance.
To the trial balance, yes.
Uh-huh.
Two.
You do the journals and then you move from the journals to the ledger. Then from the ledger to the trial balance. Then from the trial balance to the financial statement. So today we want to look at from the trial balance to the financial statement briefly, because I would prefer those topics, I prefer to be handling them when we meet face to face.
Okay.
Uh-huh. But then, so what I said about them is that each time you record in the journals, which are the day books, at the end of the period, the summary is what you send to the journal, the ledgers, sorry. So your ledger actually will have an account for individuals, either assets or liability, debtor or creditor. Your ledgers will have those accounts. So at the end of the period, you transfer the individual items that you have recorded in your journals into that account. Then you balance the ledgers. When you balance the ledgers, the totals from the ledgers will now go into the trial balance. So if the ledger has a debit balance, it will go to the debit side of the trial balance. If you have a credit balance, it goes to the credit side of the trial balance. That's what we were basically trying to achieve the last time. The important thing is for you to know whether an item is to be credited or debited, which we spoke at length on that. I would be happy if you can be specific on a particular section that you are not you didn't get very well. Then we can take that particular session, and then it will maybe give more meaning to the whole thing. Okay.
Okay. So please, how to know if the item is to be credited or debited? And then
So I gave a note. In that note, I said that all assets, all expenses, these two categories of accounts should all have a debit balance. Under normal circumstance, it should all have a debit balance. I think if you check your earlier notes, I think you will get something like that from it. And then all liabilities and revenue should also have a credit account balance. So those ones, they are things you should have in mind. So when you see the thing, you ask yourself, is this an asset or expense? If it is yes, then you are debiting. If there's an increase, you debit. If there's a reduction, you credit. If the thing is a liability or a revenue, then you have a credit balance. So if there's an increase, you credit. If there's a reduction, you debit. It's just a principle you follow. So that one you just need to read on the earlier notes that I gave you, and it will help you to know when an item should be debited or should be credited. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, for instance, when you know that an item should have a debit balance and is having a credit balance, then it means something else. So today, this is a note for your other counterpart, but I think there's a portion I would want you to use. And that portion is the financial statement of a sole proprietor. In your syllabus, you are supposed to understand what financial statement is. And you should be able to prepare a simple financial statement too as well. And so a portion of this handout will be good for you. Financial statement, we said that we have 3 types of companies or entities. And then we said that you have a sole proprietorship, which is a business that is formed by one person. A sole proprietorship is a business that is formed by one person. And that person takes all the profit he makes, and it takes all the losses he makes. Then we said another type of business is also partnership. And the partnership, they are a group of people who come together to form the business, and they share risk and share profit together. Then we have a third type, that is a corporation or limited liability companies. That one, a lot of people, minimum of 50 and the maximum of unlimited, come together in the form of share contribution, and then they form a company. And when there's profit, they receive what we call dividend. And when there's a loss, the loss is only limited to their capital contributed. It doesn't affect their private properties, unlike the first one, which is a sole proprietorship. And so we want to look at the financial statement of a sole proprietor or one-man business. Is that okay? So we said the final account of any business comprises with the financial statement. And the financial statement is made up of the income statement, the statement of financial position or the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and the notes to the account. And we said these statements are used by what we call the users of accounting information. And the users are investors, owners of the company, shareholders, employees also need it, and then government agencies also need it. So government agency will need an account of an entity so that they can know whether it is making profit or loss, and then they will know how much tax to charge. Shareholders want to know how their investment is doing, and then other people may also want to know how that particular business is doing, so whether they will come and invest into it or not, they want to know. Those are some of the reasons for preparing financial statement. But for a sole trader, we have, can you see my slides?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. So I have to share with you. Please let me know if it is visible.
Okay.
Mm. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. So for a sole trader, we said that the sole trader business usually are buying and selling. And at the end of the day, they have to find out whether they are making profit or loss. And that is how come they have to prepare a profit and loss account or an income statement. Or the same thing is also called statement of financial position. Is that okay? Now, what are the components of the profit and loss account? I'll be sharing this note with you, but I want to emphasize some things in it. So the components of the profit and loss account has to do with the selling aspect or the trading aspect of the business, which involves the buying, the things he bought, and then how he sells it. And then it comes to the profit and loss side of the business. That has to do with all the expenses he has incurred during the period, and then all the income that he got during the period. But in preparing this thing, there are certain principles, accounting principles, and concepts that must be followed. In the first place, we said that an entity concept means that once a business is formed and registered, then the business is separate from its owner. And so the business must account for itself separately from the owner. Again, we also said there's a concept which is the matching concept. Matching concept. And that concept simply means that everything that you use to generate a profit within a specific period of time should be matched against the profit for the period. What it means is that if you generated a revenue of 1,000 cedis in a particular month, you should also match it or compare it with the expenses you made in that particular month. You don't take the sales you made in another year to match with expenses you make in another year. The same way, you don't take the expenses you made in another year to match with the sales you made in the previous years. When you do it that way, you will not be able to know the fair position of the business. And so the accounting standard boards brought in a concept that is called matching concept. And so we say that within the year, everything that you have done within the year should correspond. For instance, if you make a sale of 2,000 in 2024, then match all expenses you made that relate to 2024 against it to be able to know whether you did well or you did badly. Is that clear? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, if that is the case, then we are saying that we should be able to determine the period of accounting. And that is how come we have accounting year or financial year. Now, the accounting year is usually 12 months. 12 months, usually 12 months. It could be the same as financial year if both of them coincide, say, from January to December. Because ordinarily, we know that 1 year starts from January and it ends at December. Is that not it? But if someone starts his business, say, in March, then the 12 months will end in April. Is that it? So when you are accounting, you make sure that you match your sales within the period of reporting against the expenditure that is incurred within the period of reporting. Is that so clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's look at the format of the income statement of a sole trader. This is the format of the income statement of a sole trader. Now, the income statement of a sole trader is not too different from the others. However, there are certain things you can find in the others that are not in the sole trader business. And you remember the sole trader's business is not as big as that of partnerships and companies. And so there are certain things they may not do. But if they do it, you recognize them in the account. The first account you prepare for a sole trader is the income statement, or what we call trading profit and loss account. Now, when you are preparing this account, the first thing you should do is to bring the name of the company, the name of the company, and then the heading of the account you are preparing. for all accounts are prepared for the year ended, then the date. So for instance, if you say trading profit and loss account, then it should be for the year ended either 31st December, so and so year, maybe 2021 or 2022 or 2023 or 2024. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
And then you should also bring the reporting currency. The reporting currency. That is the currency you are trying to prepare the account in. If you leave it, you might lose a mark because it is assumed that you don't know the currency you are working in. And nobody will be able to interpret or give meaning to the account. So when you look at what is showing on your on your screen, we said an example of profit or loss account for the year ended 31st December 20x1. The X only could be that it could be any year. Now, what I'm trying to say is that for income statement and accounts, you end the statement with this word for the year ended, then you put the date. So if it is, they ask you to prepare trading profit and loss account, then you first bring the name of the person. So let's say the name of this company is BIT. BIT. So we will say BIT trading profit and loss account for the year ended 31st December 2025. That is if we are preparing the account in 2025. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the income statement, what are we expected to see over there? The first thing you see in the income statement is the sales for the period. The total sales for the period. This one, we got it from our sales account. And then it came into the trial balance as sales. So we are picking the figure we have in the trial balance as sales. And then we bring it to this place as sales. Then after the sales, if the people have returned some of the things to us, which we call the last time as what? Return inwards. Is that it? Then we will subtract any return inwards from the sales to give us our net sales. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So we get our net sales. Then after getting the net sales, we want to know whether we have made profit on the things we sold or not. So we have to determine the cost of the things we sold. The cost of the things we sold. Don't forget that before you can make profit, it means that you bought the thing at a certain price, which is the cost price, and you are selling it with profit. So cost price plus profit equals the selling price. Is that okay to all of us? Cost price plus profit equals the selling price. So right now, we know the selling price or the sales that we have made. So we need the cost of the sales, which we will subtract from the sales in order to get our gross profit. And so to get the cost of sales, we can get it by determining how much stock or goods was already in the store. We take that figure. That is what we call the opening inventory or opening stock. Then we add all all the things we bought during the year for sale, we add that one to it, which is the purchases. Now, when we made the purchases, we spend money to bring the goods into our store. Who pays that money? That money must also be added to the price at which we purchase the thing. So we add that price, that if it is transportation or whatever we spend in bringing the stock in safe into our warehouse or our shop, we have to add that cost to the thing that we bought. Is that okay? So the cost of transporting goods to your warehouse or your shop, in accounting, we call it carriage inwards. Carriage inwards. Carriage inwards. And if you help your client to transport to his shop, we call it carriage outwards. Is that okay? So what we are trying to say over here is that the purchases we have made, the goods we bought to sell in the period is here. We will add the money we have spent in bringing it to our shop to it to give us the total we spent on that goods. And then if we have returned some of them to the owners, then we subtract it from it. And that will give us our net purchases. When we add the net purchase, the things that we bought, we add it to the things that were already in the shop before we bring some, then we are going to get what we call the cost of goods available for sale in the period. Up to this level, if somebody have any question, he should ask. So we are here now. The cost of goods available for sale, that is COGS. This is where we are now. Is somebody having a question? Any question on it? Sayram.
Sir, please, I'm okay.
All right. Now, after you get the cost of the goods available for sale, you check and see, after you have made the sales, has there been any leftover goods in the shop? If yes, subtract the total of the leftover goods, which we call the closing stock or closing inventory, from the cost of goods available for sale. When you take it from it, then you will get the actual goods, actual cost of goods that were sold. The cost of goods that you have sold is determined when you take your closing stock from the cost of goods available for sale. Okay. Now, if there are direct costs, for instance, maybe when you brought the goods, you need to do some finishing up work on it, or you produce it yourself, then those in the production department, the cost incurred in the production department, especially wages paid in the production department, is part of the direct cost of the things you have sold. So you add that wage to the cost of goods sold. Now, when you add it to it, you now get the total cost of sales. In other words, the cost of sales is the cost price of the things you have sold. So if you subtract the cost of sale from the selling value of the stock, Now you get what we call gross profit. Gross profit. So you see the steps you take to get your gross profit. Any question on that? Any question on that? The whole class, any question on how to get gross profit? Now, if
No, sir. No, sir.
okay. So if there is no question on how to get gross profit, I assume you are getting it well. All right. So after getting your gross profit, then we said that there may be some income that the business will get, but those income are not the direct business of the company. The direct business of the company was selling, and those things, they are our sales. But maybe they have invested some money somewhere and it brings some interest, or they have received some discount, or they did something for somebody and they receive some commission. All those monies are also called other income. So you add all other income to the gross profit. Then you can subtract all your operation expenses within the period from that income, and you get your net profit or net loss. Is that okay? Now, what are some of the other or the operating expenses that you can see? One of them is insurance. Insurance. If you have insured your premises, that it is an operational cost. If you pay rent, it's an operational cost. If you pay electricity and water bill, they are operational cost. If you pay for advertisement, it's also an operational cost, selling and distribution cost. There could also be a depreciation or a bad debt. Bad debt is the debt that people are owing you, and then you discover that for some reason you will not be able to recoup or recover those monies for a good reason. Then you declare it as bad debt and you charge it as expense against your revenue. Okay. So, any question? How far? So far? Is there any question on that? Any question? So, this is basically the format of the income statement. The income statement is also called trading profit and loss account. It is also called statement of financial position. Okay. So I will send you this format. You look at it carefully, read through, and try to keep in memory how to determine the various items. How do you get net sales? How do you get cost of sales? How do you get gross profit? And how do you get net profit? Then next time we meet, we will take an example. An example, and then try and solve and see whether we can prepare income statement. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So far, any question on this? So I'm assuming that we have just ended the thing we were doing last week. We got to the trial balance. Then this is the conclusion side, which is the final account, the financial statement. Today we look at the income statement, and we will be leaving the profit balance sheet and then the cash flow. Is that okay? For the purpose of the class, I would want you to read through this document. I think it's just about 12 pages. It will give you an idea, and when we come next time, we'll solve this particular question. This is a trial balance. This is a simple trial balance. We'll go through it for everybody to see how a simple income statement could be prepared. So I'll send this one to Sefa, and he will share it with you by the close of the lesson. Now, today, I also want to introduce you to one theory aspect of your syllabus. An aspect of your syllabus, management functions. Management functions. Do I have it here? Okay. I'm copying it. Let me just copy it and bring. So your syllabus require that you should be able to manage your own organization or company. And by that, you are supposed to know some management functions that can help you in managing a firm. Now, when we talk about management, we said it's a science and it is also an art. Okay? It's a science and it's also an art or a skills that you put together. So there are various authorities that gave some definitions to management. But in all this, four main functions are identified. Four main functions are identified for management. And that is what I want us to look at today. All right. So today we have seen the format of an income statement. And then we also want to see a little about management functions. Okay. Okay. So we said that, can you see my screen now?
Yes,
sir.
Okay. So we say management is defined as a procedure of organizing, directing, planning, and controlling the efforts of organizational members and of managing organizational resources to accomplish particular goals or specific goals. Okay. Now, if this is the case, we saw some few terminologies within the definition. One is organizing. Okay. One is organizing. The other one is directing. Another one is controlling. And then planning. These four main functions. So we want to look at these four main functions. Now, before we continue, there are two main authorities that we can learn from. One is George and Jerry. Now, they saw four fundamental functions of management, and they refer to it as planning, organizing, actuating, and controlling. Then there is another man also called Henry Fayol, a management theorist. He also said to manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, and to control. Now, these two things that these people are saying, to summarize it, we can say that the management function has to do with planning, organizing, putting people together, that is staffing, and directing them. Then you control them. Now, when you see putting two people together and directing them, is what we refer to as what? Leadership. Is that okay? Okay. So now let's look at it. When we say planning, what does it mean? When we say planning, what does planning mean? Can someone tell me what you think planning is? Yes. Can someone tell me what planning is? When you say planning, you say, I'm planning to do something. What does it mean? What is planning? Hello. Just unmute yourself and let's go. Salifu,
Yes, sir.
speak.
Planning is a fundamental process of thinking ahead of define
Yes.
goals, determine necessary actions, and allocate resources to achieve a desired outcome.
Very good. It's a good definition. So from your definition, you see that you brought something about forecasting. You foresee the future. You forecast into the future, prediction. So from his definition, we saw one function, which is forecasting. Yes, someone too can also come. I want another person to also share his view. When we say planning, what do you think? Yes.
So I would say there are measures that are put in place to achieve a specific task.
Very good. So the second man is also talking about measures, strategies, and then they are towards a specific task. a specific task. Very good. Can I get a third person? Can I get a third person?
Please, allocating resources on what to do and on what specific to do with them.
Okay. So it has to do with resource allocation as well. All right. That's fine. So all of you, what you are saying are really part of what we call planning. So what I have on the slide, we say it is the purpose of ascertaining in advance what is supposed to be done and who has to do it. That is what the lady said, the resource allocation. Then what is supposed to be done is what the first man said, the forecast. The forecast. And then this signifies establishing a goal in advance. What the second man said, for specific objective. And he said, and promoting a way of delivering them effectively and efficiently. In an establishment, the aim is to the obtainment and sales of conventional Indian home loom and workmanship article. This part of it might not relate too much to us. Yeah. So from this definition, we have seen certain ingredients of planning. And so I want to give you some assignment. The assignment is that what are the steps or the processes of planning? Try, sit down, and then give us what so if you are to make a plan, you are to plan. What do you think are the steps or the processes? Try and read on those steps or the processes. Good. Then the second function of management is organizing. Organizing. So when we talk about organizing, what is in your understanding? What do you think? Yes. I wish other people can also contribute. This is supposed to be a discussion. Organizing, how do you understand it? When we say you are organizing something, what are we trying to talk about?
Organizing could be making sure everything is ready to achieve.
And I think you can think around it and come back again. But you have the idea. You have the idea, but I want you to put it together. Yes. Organizing, what do we mean?
So,
yes.
Organizing means arranging or structuring elements, people, or tasks orderly system.
Because nothing you say will be able to justify you putting yourself at risk.
Please, I think there's somebody.
Charlie, we can't hear you.
Please come again.
Hello.
Yes.
So organizing means arranging and structuring elements, people or tasks into an orderly system.
Okay. I think the feedback is coming from you, whether TV or you are in a bus. I don't know.
So can you hear me?
But
Please?
I think you have an idea of what organizing means. Yes. Any other person, please?
Arranging resources to achieve a certain goal.
Say again.
Arranging resources.
Yes.
To achieve a goal.
To achieve a goal. That's fine. Then I want a third person. I want a third person to also come.
Putting things in order to work efficiently.
Putting things in order.
To work efficiently.
So instead of putting in order, I want you to say putting things available. It's the same as putting them in order, but making it available. Have you seen? You are organizing towards the plan, achieving specific objective. So you pull resources available together and making tools, equipment, raw material, everything available. Have you seen that? Okay. And then the third function of management is leadership. Leadership. But then leadership has to do with bringing people together. And that is why leadership can be broken into staffing and then directing. So leadership has to do with the ability to bring together and control human beings and provide direction. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about staffing, how do you understand? When we talk about staffings, for instance, if you are a leader and you want to staff, what do you think you need to do?
So you make sure you have the right people for the job.
To make sure you hire the right people. So recruiting the right people. To do what again?
Training them.
When you recruit them, you train them, yes, and then
you make sure they have the basic skills.
That is the training. You equip them. Yes.
You select.
The selection is the recruitment that you have done. Yes. What do you do again?
You allocate resources for them to be able to complete the tasks well.
So you assign tasks. Have you seen? You define their job.
Yes.
What each of them should do. And then what? Hello.
You make sure
these are practical things. So as you think around it, you should be able to just get it.
So you make sure they work efficiently.
So you are talking about supervision. Okay. You know, it is also your duty to maintain them. You recruit, train, assign, maintain, and then you do what? The part that nobody want to hear.
Audit.
Is that?
Audit them.
Audit. Okay. That's also fine. But then you
Punish
can
them.
retire or retrench them. You understand? So laying people off is also a management process. You don't say because you have employed the people, you keep them even when they are not performing. After you have assigned, you measure their performance, you can decide to lay some off or retire some of them. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You need to provide direction. That is job allocation, assigning them of their responsibility, and then you monitor. Very good. So we said that these two together comes to form what we call leadership. Okay. Now, controlling. When we say controlling, what do we mean?
Managing.
You see, controlling is an aspect of management function. So when you are trying to explain, you say managing. At this point, we will not accept that. But if you had not been introduced to this, then we can accept it. Management means more than controlling. But this time we are talking about controlling. What does it mean to be to control?
So ensuring they are performing well.
Ensuring.
Yes, to ensure that they are
Ensuring you
doing
get
their duties
set a
efficiently.
desire. You get the desire that has been set. Yes, that is okay. So
Keep them
by
in line.
doing what? Putting mechanisms. Yes, the next person.
Making sure they perform the tasks they were given.
I can hardly hear you, please.
Making sure they perform the exact tasks they were given.
Okay. So how do you make sure people perform the exact task they were given?
By measuring their work.
By
Work.
measuring their output. Very good. That's correct. Yes. Can someone also come?
Sir, behavior.
What happened to behavior? Yes, come again. Behavior man. Yes. Yes. This is a discussion, oh, please don't be quiet. Behavior, yes. Come well.
So behavior in the sense that I know.
No, what did you do? What are you doing to behavior? That is what I want to know. Controlling had something to do with behavior. I agree with you. But what do you want to do to the behavior? Yes. I'm listening. Oh. You see, you want to achieve something. And then one of your function is to control the people so that you can achieve it. Yes, you have to control their behavior. How do you control their behavior? By setting standards and ensuring that they operate within that standard. That is why break time is given for people in an organization. If it is not, if you don't set standards to guide and control their behavior, people will do whatever they think is good for them. Do you understand? Like somebody was saying that he comes to work at 6. So when it is 4 o'clock, they should allow him to go home. But you attend to the public from 9. So if you come at 6, would the public be available for you to attend to? No. So you control those parameters, behaviors, so that you can really achieve your plan. You get it? So you define certain behaviors that you go to break for only 1 hour or 45 minutes. You don't eat, you don't bring your phone, you don't do this, you don't do that. You are controlling human behavior. You control equipment and machines as well. Have you seen? So when we talk about controlling, it has to do with a lot, both physical, human resources and material resources. Is that okay? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So whilst you are communicating, you are controlling, you need to communicate to the people. Is that okay? You can't have all this in your mind or on paper in your laws and then you archive them or you keep them. You need to what? Communicate to the people. Why do you think communication is very important?
So it's important because that is the way you can transfer information and ideas.
You can transfer
information and ideas.
You can transfer information and ideas to others. Very good. Yes. Somebody too. Why do you think communication is important?
It maintains good rapport among staff.
Very good. Yes. The next person. Mm-hmm. Do you think
it's important because it promotes understanding among workers?
it promotes understanding? That is very good. Do you know that someone can misunderstand some procedure? The thing is written all right, yes, but someone can misunderstand it, or somebody's intention can be misunderstood. But once you communicate, once you explain, once you teach, you see that goals are so clear that anybody can take it and then achieve. You get it? So communication is also a vital aspect of management function. All right. What do we mean by decision making? Hello. What is decision making?
So, analyzing a situation and coming out with solutions or decisions.
You are using decision to define decision making. Yeah.
Hello. Choosing best option from two or more alternatives.
That's right. That's a good definition. Decision making. Yeah. And then who has the last one?
They're choosing what to do after thinking of different options.
The only problem I have with that, the definition you gave is choosing what to do. But when we talk about decision making, we are talking about you choosing the best from the other alternatives. So decision making is an act of selecting the best course of action from among the possible alternatives. Have you seen that?
Yes, sir.
You have various means of doing the thing, but you sat down and then you sit down, you look at all these possible means, and then you select the best. Is that okay?
Yes,
it's a
sir.
management function that we have to start practicing. Then problem analysis. When we talk about problem analysis, who want to explain? You people are engineers, so I think you can understand this better. Yes. Oh, this should be very interactive. There are things that functions, things that we should just think, and then we talk about. There are management functions. Problem analysis is also a function of management. When we say analyzing problems, how do you think, or what should you do?
So it is first you identify the problem, you understand it, and then you break it down. Or you break the problem down for use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Can someone also add to it?
Please. So, per the definition my brother gave, it means that it also helps make better decisions.
Yes. Problem analysis helps make better decisions. That's good. But when you are analyzing problems, what should you do?
You try to understand the cause of anything that happens and try to find solutions to it.
That's good. One of the problems in Ghana is our problem analysis. You see, when something happens right now, everybody will be talking. Everybody will be talking. And the next time you see the thing will happen again. Have you seen that? Just because there are certain things we don't do good. And one of them is how we analyze our problems. You see, there was flood in Accra, and it will cost a lot of things. And you see, NADMO will rush there, they will donate rice, they will do what will make people comfortable. Excellent. That is just solving or providing immediate solution or aid to the people. They will feel happy. Some can even forget about what has happened to them. But if the problem is well analyzed, you will know where it starts from, where it will end, what can stop it, what can minimize it, and what can eliminate it completely. Have you seen that? So, depending on how problems are analyzed, their solutions may either be lasting or temporary. Is that okay? So we say in every organization, problems, incidents, and difficulties are constantly occurring. You have to detect them, analyze them, find their causes, establish their importance and priorities, and then find solution for them. Then implement the solution, and then you follow up on the implementation. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
If you follow up on the implementation, then you can know whether what you have implemented are okay or not okay, whether you should vary or not vary them. By so doing, you will realize that you have resolved that problem. Is that okay? So let's look at a typical problem analysis that has been done in Ghana recent times. You remember the recent recruitment of the security services. You all heard what happened.
Yes, so
Good. Let us analyze it right now and see if we can find some things that has happened. Is that okay? In your view, what did you think has happened? Hello?
oversales of forms.
There is what?
Oversales of forms.
Oversales of forms. Do you think that one is a problem?
Yes, it is.
You think it's a problem?
Yes.
Assuming you are the businessman and you want money, do you think that is a problem?
Okay, business-wise, it's considered better.
So that is not part of this one. It's not part of the problem. It's rather an advantage to the situation. Yeah, so let's go on. Let's use that basically. You see, where this thing is good for you, the reason why you need to do this course is that If you are able to analyze problems, then you, as an IT people, you come out to develop a solution for the people. Have you seen? If you analyze problem well, then you'll be able to invent a solution. And that is where a lot of money is coming out these days. That's where people are making a lot of money. Identifying the problem, analyzing them, and providing solution alone can make you a billionaire. Have you seen that? So Africa problem right now is that we are not able to refine our own oil and use. If someone identify this and is able to produce crude refinery and is able to refine crude oil in Africa, the person become a millionaire. Have you seen that? Analyzing the issue, identifying the problem, providing solution, implementing the solution, and then you follow up on the solution. Are you there? Hello?
Hello, sir. Please, we are
Yes,
here.
we are here.
Okay. So we are trying to identify some problem. That is what I want us to brainstorm right now. Let's identify some of the problem that came as a result of the recruitment.
Lack of proper planning.
Lack of
Proper planning.
proper planning. So when you say, what have you identified as lack of proper planning?
When a number of recruits should come for the assessment, they should be demarcated according to the number of they could attend to them in a day.
Yes. What is the problem you have seen there?
So there were no structures in place.
There were no structures in place.
Yes.
Like
he
what?
was saying.
So
Like he
what
was
problem
saying.
has that created? What is the problem? What has that problem?
So overcrowding.
Very good. That is what the problem is. The problem is overcrowding.
Okay.
You see, you identify the problem. Then what has the problem caused? Have you seen that? Then you will now be able to analyze the step-by-step causes of that same problem. Overcrowding, what will it cause? People will suffocate. People will do this. This will happen, that. Then now you can come and say, how do I do it? Have you seen? So as you are learning this course right now, you can sit down, identify a particular problem, see the cause of the problem, and then you begin to find how to solve them. You see, most of the softwares that are developed came as a result of problem analysis. For instance, Ghana never knew how to use online teaching methods until COVID came. Someone sat down and know that you can use Zoom or this to make delivery. They closed down schools. That is the problem. So they begin to find out the solution. Then IT people came. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do. First, they started using TV stations to do it. And then they came out with Zoom. And then other Google platforms are coming. And now people have built platforms that can disseminate information with the people in their comfort. Have you seen that? So this course is making you to think, brainstorm, and then you'll be able to analyze problems and come out with solutions. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So we said that you follow up on the implementation. Then the first thing to specify is that management is the last highest link in the company hierarchy. When you talk about management, is the last highest hierarchy in an organization. And so you are looking at management here not as a function, but you are looking at it as an aspect of an organization, a team of people that will come together to let an organization run. And you say that they are responsible for ensuring the operation of every department, supervising human talents, and taking corrective measures whenever it is necessary. Is that okay? So let's say you are part of some management. What are some of the things you should be seen doing? That is what, after this course, you are supposed to be vested in. What are some of the things, if you are part of management team in your home, your church, in some organization, what are you supposed to be seen doing? And these things are what we summarize into 4: that you plan, you organize, leadership, and then you control. Is that okay? Management in charge of directing a group of people under its command and must report their activity daily or as agreed between the parties. So you put people in charge of various, that is what we call the controlling. You control, put people in charge so that they can report to you on the various activities that, in this case, the essential reason management is clearly defined: the supervision and coordination of managers. The supervision and the coordination of managers. The work that management does is planning, controlling, leadership, and then organizing. Now, within this, each of them has their functions, their role to do. So you must be seen doing them. Supervision is a managerial function. Coordination is managerial function. Is that okay? Management is responsible for identifying the possible problems that a given situation could trigger and developing an action plan that provides solution in the medium and the long term. Is that clear? When we say medium term, how do you understand? Can someone explain what we mean by medium term and long term? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Medium term is a short period.
We have short term, medium term, and long term. Okay. So come again.
It could be a period not too long, not too short.
Okay. So, in your estimation, how can you maybe say this is medium term? Can you give some? Short term is now. Medium term is anything within 1 year. And long term is anything from 2 years going. Is that okay? And so you need to find solution that will mitigate the problem now. That is a short-term solution. If you are a person who is always giving short-term solution, you are going to meet problem all the time. So you should have a short-term solution, medium-term solution, and a long-term solution. Is that okay? If you are able to get these three, then you are sure of mitigating against problem. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. Then the last thing we want to look at is taking strategic decisions. How do you understand when we say strategic management? Strategic management. Can someone say something about it? Yes. There is a young man in your class. I have not heard his voice. Is he in the class now? I think he's the smallest, the smallish person in the class.
So I'm Desmond, and I have been speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
Then there's another one who sat at the back the last time. the one making fun of the other guy. Okay, let's finish. Let's finish. What do you understand by strategic management?
So I would say it's the process of evaluating and planning planning to achieve a long-term goal.
Mm-hmm. Is that all? Oh, please speak. I need you to speak. This should be an interaction.
Sir, please, planning the future success of a business.
Mm-hmm. Is that all?
And looking for strategies or ways to make the business grow in the future and now.
Okay. That's good. Yes. Can someone also come?
Okay, sir. So it is setting direction, making decisions, and allocating resources to achieve a long-term or short-term goals.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what I was expecting is that everybody will do something like that to achieve a long-term goal. However, the major thing in there is for you to have some competitive advantage over others. Do you understand? For you to gain some special competitive advantage over others. That is what made it strategic management. You set your goals continuously and systematically, looking at both internal and external factors so that you implement your strategies in order to get a competitive advantage, in order that you will benefit more than others, other institutions. Is that okay? So that is what is expected of you as a manager or a member of a management team. Now, in conclusion, we saw so many functions in management: organization, directing, controlling, staffing, all those things, that coordinating, communicating, analyzing problem, and all those things. But when we put all those things together, we said that we have 4 main management functions. That is planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Is that okay? So please go and read on these 4 functions. Planning, I want to highlight it for you. These 4 functions are very, very, very important because they cover almost all the management functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Okay. Any questions so far? Please, any questions so far?
No, sir.
Hello?
Hello.
Is there something that is not clear for somebody?
Sir,
Yes.
concerning the assignment, he said we should
Yes.
Please, how
This
we
one
submit?
is just a reading assignment, not
Okay.
to be submitted.
Okay. All right.
But if you don't read and you meet it in an exam, don't blame me. It's just a reading assignment.
Okay, sir.
The one I will ask you to submit to is there.
Okay.
And it is nice to know that anything you submit is not examinable. But those you don't submit, they are preparing you towards exams. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
you do those reading assignments. It helps you to sit for the papers.
So even with the processes of planning,
Yes, the processes of planning.
that's also a reading assignment.
Yes, it's a reading assignment.
Okay.
And I also added the last one that read on both planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. They have processes. All of them have processes. So look at them. They are not in the slide here. Okay? That's why I want you to read. Okay. Any other question? Any other question? When are you supposed to do your MISEM? Has it passed?
Yes,
Jaira?
I think it's after the Easter break.
Yes.
After the Easter break, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So tomorrow, if we are able to meet, I would like you to actually come out with what you don't understand about the calculations. Okay?
Okay. Sir, please, are we meeting tomorrow?
Sorry, it's not this group. No, it's not this group. It's another group. It's HRM group. Okay. No, we are not meeting. Sorry.
Okay.
You are okay. You are okay. The next time we meet, we'll look at the calculation. You had the format. I'll send you the template. So you just look at it and get yourself familiar with them. Then when we meet, we'll solve one question on it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Small, you get there. All right. Thank you very much for the day.
Thank you too.
Thank you, sir.
So, Sefa, I will send you the things so that you share with your people.
Okay.
If there's nothing, then we can call it a day.
All right, sir. Have a nice day.
All right.
Vaccination now.